good Tuesday morning. Boomer with the day off. We will talk to him at some point today. He will call in to talk about that disaster in Pittsburgh last night as his team gets absolutely blown out. Talk about getting run over and just skated all over in embarrassing fashion as the Penguins beat the Rangers in a pivotal Game 4, 7-2. Boomer out. That means that Jerry is in. This is a weird day here, Jerry, because we have no Boomer after a Rangers loss. We've got an update anchor that we've never met before, and Al Dukes is sick. Al Dukes is never sick. The hell's going on? Good morning, Jerry. How are you?
Morning. What's up? Yeah, Al sounds like I said to him before. He sounds like a cartoon character. He's doing voices.
He's really milking the voice, though, you could tell. Like, he wasn't, like, trying to talk with his real voice, being nasally this morning on the warm-up show. He was just like, hi, Jerry. How about this whole thing here with this guy?
It sounds more manly to me in my own head.
In your own head, perhaps.
So pretty bad for the Rangers, huh? It's like, come on, just talk in your regular voice or try.
You are right, though. In all the years I've known him now, since 2007, really probably more like 2008 for real.
Yeah.
So that's how many? It's 14 years. I can think on one hand how many times he's been sick.
This is the only time I can recall in since 2018, since I've been doing the show, that I can remember Al being sick. I mean, so much so that we talk about him being cocky with his immune system. So this is crazy. This is absolutely
That's a good
nuts.
day. It's a good day. He's like the rest of us.
Yeah, that's right. I know. Finally, we've got a human being on our hands. So last night, man, I tell you,
Terrible.
This was laughable at times, and I don't know how the Rangers can look like they did in the first period of Game 1 and then look like they did in the second period of Game 4. We're talking about a completely different hockey team. They first of all, last night, they looked tired. They looked overwhelmed. They looked confused. They were doing things that, basically was like they wanted to get out of there. They lost every face-off. They were lazy in their own zone. Defensively, they just weren't active at all. And the Penguins almost was like they could feel it. Like they knew they had a shark in a wounded fish. It was like, this is an easy one. We're just going to keep throwing pucks at the net. We're just going to be aggressive, and we're going to see what happens. And, of course, Igor Shesterkin gets pulled again at the end of the second period, and Georgiev plays the third period. But I don't even know if it was so much all his fault. I mean, the goalie's the last line of defense. People are going to talk about that. He's a Vezina favorite. But what was going on in front of him was a borderline atrocity.
Well, even what you say going back to Game 3, like that game in and of itself, I couldn't understand. Watching terrible first period, the second period, they were as good as you've seen them all year. They were awesome in the second period on Saturday. And then Sunday was fine. They give up that goal to make it 5-4. All right, fine. They score a couple empty netters. That was a great game, though. The effort was fantastic. Second period through the third. They didn't score in the third, but still, you felt like at least they played a good game, and you thought if they could get out to a good start. That's all I heard. That's all I read. We got to start better. Got to start fast. Well, you get the first goal last night, and they started fast. And then you're
2
right.
2 minutes in.
I would say this, going through the motions. That's what that game looked like to me, specifically late second period, because when they get the goal to make it 4-2, you're thinking, okay, and even the announcers I wasn't watching Sam Rosen. I watched the replay. I saw the first period live last night, and then I watched the second period this morning when I got in. And even the announcers were like, oh, you know what? Look out. This could get them going. And then next thing you know, Pittsburgh gets those 2 goals at the end of the second. The first one, to me, that made it 5-2 was like, oh, that was the killer. And then they score again a minute later. Not even. 50 seconds? It was like, what happened?
Twice that happened. I mean, they scored 2 goals in 24 seconds and 2 goals in 50-something seconds. I mean, it was – so the Penguins are doing exactly what the Rangers should be doing as far as throwing pucks to the net. Because let's not forget, and I know that Boomer yesterday – you weren't here, but yesterday he's like, oh, you talk about this Louis Domingue like he's, a nothing player. But, man, he made some great saves. I'm sorry. I mean, this guy, he is not a young player, so it's not one of these guys who, maybe through the process of trying to evaluate who he was, he slipped through the cracks and is now going to turn into some sort of great goalie. I mean, he's 30 years old. He's bounced around 4 different organizations. He spent most of his life in the AHL. He's got like a side baking business. He's just a guy who's like hanging on. He's one of these guys that Al talks about he'd love to be, where he's like the third string goalie or the backup quarterback or whatever.
I hope to never play.
He's getting paid a bunch of money. He's a good-looking dude, and like he's living a phenomenal life. He's got a good personality, but he's not that good. And, like, the pressure that the Penguins are putting on the Rangers, where it's basically, you watch these games, it's just flicking pucks to the net, getting guys in front of Shesterkin, just winning faceoffs, and bang, shooting the puck right at the net is the pressure that they should be putting on Louis Domingue. And essentially, he's just sitting back there in a rocking chair like, man, hell, this is pretty easy, this goaltending in the NHL playoffs, which is, it's pathetic. You can't have that type of goalie disparity in the NHL. And have this happen. In back-to-back games, essentially, it's nuts. Louis Domingue should not be a cult hero, and he is.
And you even think about, he gives up 2 goals last night, but one goes off the skate of his own guy. So
that poor bastard, that
not
happened to
his
him
fault.
again. Yeah,
he couldn't have been better last night. And confidence is a funny thing. This team, and Penguins not a bad team, we know that, but confidence for a guy, I won't call him a kid. Yeah, you keep winning, it grows. And this team right now looks like they are ready to basically put the knife on the Rangers and end the season. I will be stunned if the Rangers don't come out off the charts flying tomorrow night. And I will be. I'll be really surprised if they don't win the game. But that having been said, how about the Gensel goal?
Yeah.
You've got, I said this to Al before, you've got a 3-on-2 developing rush.
Yep.
The Rangers get back. At one point before the pass, that was Crosby to Gensel, I believe.
Yeah, which is a lethal combination.
Before the pass, the Rangers have 4 guys in the area.
Well, it was Crosby. It was Crosby to Rust.
Oh, that's what it was. Okay, that's what it was. But look at the 3 right there.
Yeah, I know.
That's never going to work. They look lost.
Well, that's all on Adam Fox, who won the award for the Norris Trophy last year for the best defenseman in hockey. He just fell asleep. And Joe Micheletti even said it. He goes, I don't know why. Don't ask me why, because that's very un-Adam Fox-like, but he fell asleep. He just sat there and basically, he had Gensel just go right past him. Look at him. He's just staring. He's like a spectator
There's
there.
no resistance. None.
Yes. He should be obviously paying attention to Gensel streaking towards the net in the way that he was.
And then the next goal, I think, was Freeman. He's wide open, like 10 feet from the goalie.
Yeah, and then losing every face-off, too.
That's a problem.
And Henrik said it in between periods. I do like watching a local broadcast when you can, but Henrik said it between periods. He said the Rangers were paralyzed in their own zone. It's basically what it was. Now, you talk about coming out in Game 5 and what they're going to look like. I was fully convinced that you were going to get an Igor Shesterkin bounce-back game. And you were going to get, him being great, 1 goal, maybe a shutout, something like that, coming off getting pulled in the previous game. I really did not think that the Penguins were that much better than the Rangers. And then you got this. And they really did look tired and out of it. So,
they looked out of it for sure.
You got to be careful with the roller coaster of the NHL playoffs, because then once you make a declarative statement, all of a sudden the next game is completely different. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Rangers came out and manufactured an incredible game because they were desperate. But at the same time, how do you look like that in a Game 4 when you're basically, it's either we're tying the series or we're going down 3-1. This was as desperate as you could be. Game 5 is more desperate because you're facing elimination, but still.
I thought Gerard Gallant said it well. We were soft all over the ice, and that's a hell of an indictment on a team that was as good as they were this year. And I do believe, which is why I would never bury them. I can't do that. They were too good this season. To me, the goalie's like the next day starting pitcher. He needs 1 game. If he comes out, meaning Shesterkin, and out of the 7, well, he didn't give up 7, but out of the 6 goals that he was responsible for last night, I would say 2 were squarely on him. The other 4, to me, the team in front of him played like crap.
Yeah.
That said, if they can turn the page and if he can give you one of those performances, maybe everything changes. If he goes out there and stops 35 shots, the Rangers win 3-1 or 2-0 or something like that. My opinion, I would think, would change very quickly going into what would be a Game 6 to where not all the pressure. It doesn't change there because they would still have the 3-2 lead. But all of a sudden you put a little bit of pressure on the Penguins. Got to come out and got to win that, you would think, because going back to New York. But you got to start with, I know we have fun with them, but it is never more true than now. You got to win a face-off. You got to win, the 4 or 5 minute stretch. You got to win the period, and you got to go win the game, and you got to take it just one shift at a time.
Yeah, I remember back it was 2014, and the Rangers came back 3-1 in the first round series against the Penguins.
It was Pittsburgh, yeah.
Yeah, and I remember being there at Consol Energy Center, and that game 4, which is just like this, where the Penguins end up beating the Rangers and they go up 3-1, and I just remember being like, man, this is just like a walk in the park. Then going back there for that game 7, which was absolutely crazy, and then the Penguins ended up cleaning house after that. So, I mean, obviously, like there's precedent for this in the NHL. It does happen. Things can change dramatically. And I guess Gallant said that Shesterkin will be starting, so you don't have to.
And he should. You've been, to me it would be like telling me the ace pitcher who won 21 games, who was a 20-game winner, threw to an ERA of 2.2, had a couple of bad starts, and now we're not going to pitch him. You have to go with
What
your
if he
horses.
gives up 2 goals in the first period of...
Well, you can have a quick hook. I'm not saying you can't. I mean, you can definitely do that. But I would 100% I would start him at Madison Square Garden. Now, you want to tell me you were in Pittsburgh and the home ice advantage was different and you were going to Pittsburgh down 3-1 Game 5 with the way he's been treated and heckled and all that? Maybe I think differently. But going back home to the Garden, go out, give me some shutout hockey, and then we go from there.
Yeah, I mean, as bad as I think everything in front of Shesterkin was, Georgiev did play better in these situations because think about it. There was like 3 or 4 scoring chances right at the beginning of the third period. Where Georgiev was stopping those pucks that maybe Shesterkin wasn't.
He's carefree, though. I mean, the game's over. It was 6-2 at the time.
Yeah.
Are you going in there really thinking that this team is going to come out and score 5 goals in front of you? To me, I don't know. That's like a pitcher going out there and throwing 3 no-hit innings, 7, 8, and 9 when the team's down 8-1 when he comes in.
Yeah, all right. I mean, I understand, but hell, Georgiev came in when they were down 3 goals and they ended up tying the thing. I mean, they didn't win.
You're absolutely right.
But in the previous game, you at least had a little bit of a different situation. He seemed to spark him. I mean, it's amazing to me that you can go from where this team was to playing such a lifeless game and really an embarrassing game.
I'm surprised.
In the playoffs. And it's not, I mean, you're not facing the best team in hockey. I mean, you went into this series as a favorite. The Penguins are looked at as someone who was smaller, not as fast as the Rangers. They have obviously issues with their goaltender. They're down to their 3rd string goal. I mean, this was like should have been an easy first round win. Move on to the second round and see where you're at. Should have been.
I think though when we go back to before the series began, what were you saying? It was one last run for the fun.
Yeah, sort of messing around with that.
But to your point, there's still a lot of like star power on this team.
Yeah.
So the idea that it was going to be a walk in the park, I don't know that I thought that. But if you were going to tell me that one team would be a 3-1 on the other, I think 9 times out of 10 I would have said it would have been the Rangers because I really I've said this.
You bet them to win the cup.
I thought the goalie, to me, like the ace pitcher, I thought he was going to carry them through the playoffs, and it has not worked out so far. But it's a best of 7. Go out there and win tomorrow night. Play well. Actually show some life. The building is going to be on fire, as you know. And so go win a game. That's all you can do. Go win the next game and then take it from there. And he's got to be better. He just has to be. I can't believe the guy that was the best goalie in hockey all year long
is now this.
Is going to go down meekly. I don't buy it. I'm going to bet them. How about that? I'm going to bet them, and I'm going to bet them to win by more than a goal and a half.
Okay.
How about that?
So you're gonna take the puck line on that.
Rangers in a blowout.
How about for tomorrow night, Game 5? How about the series price that I just looked up for the Rangers to come back and win? Plus 460.
I would have thought more.
Yeah,
3 games to 1.
Yeah, Penguins are minus 650. The Rangers are plus 460.
Now, why is that not plus 650?
Yeah, because you know why.
Yeah, I do know, yeah.
Because we have to lose. That's why we can never fully have an advantage.
I like that bet from the standpoint of watching this team as much as I saw them this year. They're just better than what they've been. And maybe that's, glass half full, but I just don't see them going down like this. But then again, I didn't think they'd be down 3 games to 1, too.
I didn't think
maybe they'll play another crappy game.
Yeah, my counter to that is I didn't expect them. I really thought they were going to play well last night, and they looked like they were done. I mean, look, they were tired. They really. Didn't they look tired to you?
I thought they looked. disinterested is not the right word. They just look like they're going through the motions. They look like they got hit by a wall of fury is what they looked like last night. So I saw a lot of the first period on my phone last night. And then as the second period is going on, we had a whole bunch of turnover. It gets kind of crazy. And got one by one, guys are coming in. Bleeping Rangers. Can you bleep and believe? I'm like, what? It was 1-1. What is going on? The one guy goes, they're losing 5. One guy yells from across, 6 bleeping 2. I'm like, oh, boy. That second period has not gone well.
Yeah, I know. I was around a bunch of really sad Ranger fans on Saturday night. It's not fun. It really is not.
Saturday night's game was fascinating. It really was. Like the idea, and you see this in football too. We talk about this a lot where sometimes a team can't move the football, and then all of a sudden it looks like they're playing 13 on 10, where everything's just wide open. Saturday's game, the way they dominated, first of all, didn't play great in the first period, and then dominated the second period, you think, all right, here we go. Third period, go bury them, and then let's go, you go win in Pittsburgh on whatever, and they'll be up 3-1. And the fact that they didn't win that game Saturday night, to me, was like, I don't know, I was blown away.
Yeah, I thought once the momentum changed, it was going to stick with the Rangers. I agree. I felt the same exact way. I mean, I looked, they were down. It was, speaking of betting lines, they were plus 650 to come back down 4-1, and I almost considered betting it. I was looking for more like plus 800.
Right.
And then they stormed all the way back to tie it.
And they did it so quick.
Yeah, no, I know. I mean, it was, that's what they should be doing against Louis Domingue. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they should be doing. 3 goals like that. It should be happening. All right, coming up next, we introduce you to a new update anchor that we really don't know much about at all. So his name is Greg Caserta, and he will be filling in for Jerry today, and he's going to give you all the details on the Rangers and nasty Nestor and the NBA playoffs and everything else. So we'll see if he's if he's any good. And we will talk to Boomer at some point this morning. I told him he's got to call in and talk to us about this. So